What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Guiding Keys, the story of Kingdom Hearts, presented by the Unlockables podcast. As always, my name is Eric. I will be your host on this incredible journey through the world of Kingdom Hearts and through the mind of series creator and director Tetsuya Nomura. I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in wherever, whenever, in time and space you may be located to check out what is going on in the world of video games, or for this mini-series, to check out what is going on in the world of Kingdom Hearts. Now, before we get started on the episode proper today, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, a very wordy title for this game. I just want to talk about one thing really quickly, unrelated to Kingdom Hearts. This is actually the first recording that I have done since the birth of my son. My son Cameron was born on February 21st, and he was born 5 weeks early. So as of this recording, he's still up in the NICU at the hospital. Since he was 5 weeks early, he's been having some trouble doing things that babies are normally able to do. He struggles to eat all of his bottles, and he gets very tired. He runs out of energy very quickly, and he needs that energy and those calories to be able to regulate his body temperature, be able to breathe normally, and to be able to eat normally. So being a little baby is hard, and it takes a lot of energy just to do like the basic bodily functions that he needs to survive. So the staff are taking very good care of him. He's still up at the hospital right now. Every day he's getting a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and we're hoping eventually that he'll be able to do all those things in tandem and be able to come home with us very soon. So just wanted to say thank you to everybody in the community that reached out, that wished myself, my wife, our kid well wishes. It really meant a lot to me and was very touching that strangers, people from the internet who I've grown very close to, have reached out and just been incredible throughout this entire process and have been asking how I am, giving me space, but also checking in. It's been awesome. So I wanted to say thank you guys very much for the love, for the support. It's incredible. And you know, I've even told my wife how much everybody is pulling for us and pulling for our son to be able to come home soon. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I will update you more when we have news to share. As I mentioned before that, today's topic, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. And this will probably be a little bit shorter of an episode because this game, this experience is about 2 hours long, a little faster if you've played it before. It essentially is a tech demo, a teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3 that was included in the HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue collection. So there's not a whole lot of substance to it, not as much substance as there is to a normal Kingdom Hearts game, but it does connect in some interesting ways to some of the story threads that have come in the games before. And as you can guess by its title being 0.2 Birth by Sleep, it kind of picks up after that game. And just to address the title of the game very quickly, to kind of, I know we have this joke that Nomura names his games ridiculous things, but Nomura always likes to make people think about his games in every facet, and he extends this even to the titles of his games. So when you analyze Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, and kind of break down what it is, and using the history that I've taught you in these episodes so far, Nomura once called Birth by Sleep his episode 0. So he considered Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep essentially Kingdom Hearts 0 because it is a prequel to Kingdom Hearts 1. So naming it Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, we can firmly establish that this takes place slightly after the events of Birth by Sleep, but still somewhere before the events of Kingdom Hearts 1. And the fragmentary passage obviously corresponds to the fact that this is just a very small slice of story to kind of tease Kingdom Hearts 3, tease the technology they are using for Kingdom Hearts 3, and just give us a little bit of a taste of that. But it was still something that Nomura wanted to include, and we'll touch on that when we talk about the development history. So, with that being said, let's dive in to Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. Not going to say the name of the title every time, so from here on out, I'm just going to call it Kingdom Hearts 0.2 or 0.2. So, Kingdom Hearts 0.2 was developed by Square Enix Business Division 3 and published by Square Enix. It is included on the Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue Collection, alongside HD Dream Drop Distance and back cover X Chi Kai, a movie that summarizes the events of the mobile game, which we'll be talking about next. It was also included in the Story So Far collection, which basically includes everything up until Kingdom Hearts 3. This game was directed by Tetsuya Nomura and Tai Yasue, as was the entire collection. Producer was Rie Nishi, writer Masaru Oka, and composer was, of course, our good friend Yoko Shimomura. The interesting thing about this game, and we'll touch on it again in the development history, was that it was developed in Unreal Engine 4, which was a big departure for Square Enix, who had always favored in-house, custom-built engines. So from here on out, they were abandoning the disaster that was Crystal Tools and scaling back their use of the Luminous engine, which they had used in middle and later 2010s. It was released in Japan on January 12th, 2017, and worldwide January 24th, 2017, lining up with the collection release dates. The review scores, there aren't specific review scores for 0.2 by itself. I got to kind of just include the review scores for the 2.8 collection. So on Metacritic, this game was sitting at a 76 on the PS4, but also came out on the Xbox first time, I believe, sitting on an 82 out of 100 for Xbox One. Famitsu gave it a 34 out of 40. Game Informer gave it an 8.5 out of 10, IGN a 7.5 out of 10, GameSpot a 7 out of 10. Now, again, you have to take the review scores with a grain of salt because this little snippet of gameplay by itself was not reviewed separately. And from all the reviews that I kind of looked over and how they were collected and what I saw the negative feedback was, it was really due to the fact that the 3 games included on the collection, being Dream Drop, this game, and the back cover movie, really didn't feel thematically connected to one another in any way. And that kind of has to, and a lot of the criticism too was due to Dream Drop Distance's confusing story. And that makes sense. All of those games kind of take place later in the Kingdom Hearts timeline. This collection doesn't do a good job of laying out the timeline in a way that is easy to understand like the previous 2 collections do. And these games are kind of placed all over the place. So like I said, 0.2 takes place between Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 1. Dream Drop Distance takes place canonically after Kingdom Hearts 2. And back cover takes place all the way at the beginning of the timeline back in Kingdom Hearts Ancient History. So there's not really a lot. If you were like buying this and playing this for the first time, like God bless you, because this must have been like, you're just like, what is going on with all these different kind of storylines? And then you have like Aqua, and then you have Sora and Riku, and then you have all the stuff with the mobile game way back at the start of the timeline. Like, absolutely God bless you. But there was praise for 0.2's inclusion specifically because it was teasing a look at the much anticipated Kingdom Hearts 3, which would release roughly 2 years later in 2019. So let's dive into first impressions, general thoughts. So, like I mentioned at the top of the episode, 0.2 serves strictly as a tech demo for Kingdom Hearts 3. And this was my primary motivation for getting the collection, Sure, I wanted to play Dream Drop Distance on console on a TV and see how that experience translated. But when I bought this collection, this was the first thing that I played. And as far as like the movie goes, I had played the mobile game pretty religiously until like the last year of its life. Like I played it on and off, but I always came back to like catch up with the story. So the movie didn't really like do anything for me. It wasn't like Advent Children levels of spectacle for the movie. The temptation of getting a glimpse at Kingdom Hearts 3 was the primary motivation, and it was just absolutely breathtaking to see the world of Kingdom Hearts created in Unreal Engine 4, a modern game engine. So put yourself in my shoes for a second, right? I've been playing these games pretty religiously for about the last 2 years, trying to play through them all. And the style of those games has been pretty consistent for most of those games through Dream Drop Distance. I mean, the art style really hasn't changed much since the first Kingdom Hearts. It kind of still has like that cartoony, like Disney-ish kind of look that you would expect. When I fired up 0.2, just seeing a Kingdom Hearts experience on a relatively modern console in a relatively modern game engine in Unreal Engine 4 is just an insane feeling. And it really kind of hammered home how far I've come in this Kingdom Hearts journey. And again, put yourself in the shoes of Kingdom Hearts fans in 2017. Kingdom Hearts 3 got announced all the way back in like 2012 or 2013, and we just been starving for anything about that game. So to get this little slice teasing what 3 was gonna be like was glorious. It was enough to tide us over 2 more years until we got the full release of 3. So let's just go ahead and rip off the Band-Aid here, right? So as you can probably make an educated guess based on the title, 0.2, Birth by Sleep, that this little mini game is going to let us spend some time with our good friend Master Aqua. We're going to be catching back up with her in the Realm of Darkness after she's spent a significant amount of time there. And we'll even get to see some familiar worlds and some familiar faces. And we'll get to see that this tiny slice of the story actually ties in with the events at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. And looking back at this, I really do appreciate this. I'm really glad we got to spend some time with Aqua here before Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously, as it's being set up, as we've played Dream Drop Distance, rescuing her will be a big part of that game that's been teased already. Even in this brief 2 hours we spend with her, we get to see a bit of character development that ties in nicely to Birth by Sleep. She's been in the Dark Realm for years now. Her confidence in herself is constantly being challenged by the despair that she feels and the darkness that's just constantly assaulting her during her time there. And it's interesting to see kind of the mental state that she's in, considering she's had to endure a place where people just don't go, where you're not meant to be, where you are completely and utterly alone while her friends are suffering, and that loneliness and that lack of companionship and connection and human contact drive you kind of insane. I mean, think about the story of Kingdom Hearts. It's a story about connections, about the strength of your heart when it's connected to other people. The Dark Realm is the antithesis of that. It's a place where you're completely cut off. You're completely alone. Your heart has no connections to anybody except for the memories of your friends. And it's just got to be just maddening. And it eventually, even the strongest hearts will break down under those conditions. So it's absolutely insane. Other than that, there's not a lot here to say about my general kind of thoughts here. I mean, this little slice of this game is fucking incredible. That's really all I have to say about it. There's not much to kind of nitpick here. They kind of showcase some of the best beats and some of the mechanics that would come to define Kingdom Hearts 3, which we'll talk about in gameplay and presentation. So not too much to say here. You can complete this section in about 2 hours, and the end just comes to this gigantic crescendo that is this perfect ending. It caps off this really well-paced slice of game really quite well. And I think it ties nicely into the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and kind of changes the perspective of that game a little bit, and even kind of enhances the stakes of Kingdom Hearts 3 because now you know what's at stake. When we talk about certain events in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think having this little slice of time to play with Aqua really just enhances her character. I can't imagine having her character in 3 and not having this little slice of gameplay and this little slice of time to spend with her. And even in this short amount of time, the amount of character development she goes through is really interesting in the way she's challenged as a person. So yeah, with that being said, we'll move on to gameplay and presentation. So to kick off gameplay and presentation, let's talk about some of the general worlds, graphics, presentation, that kind of stuff. Kingdom Hearts in Unreal Engine 4 looks, I mean, if I have to be punny about it, it looks unreal. Like I said, gone are the graphics that we've been accustomed to since the series' inception for the last 7, 8, 9-ish games, however many it's been. I don't know. I didn't have it written down. I'm not going to count them on air real quick. Rather than everything looking like it did, everything kind of looks like a Pixar movie. And that will translate into Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, because it looks more like what Disney's movies did during like the Tangled era, I guess you could say, or like Tangled, Frozen, Big Hero 6, that kind of style of CGI graphical animation. And they don't have to do little tricks with the animation to save memory. I mean, everything looks absolutely incredible. The 3D models are incredible. There are backgrounds that are just filled to the brim with such incredible details. Amazing attack animations with these like flourishes of light and blasts of magic. Like I'm not joking. Coming to this after playing what I've played for the last 2 years, it almost feels like a different series. Like it really does. It's that much of a leap, even from Dream Drop distance, to finally get off handheld, right? And the limitations that handheld put in place, and to get back on console and to have a modern Kingdom Hearts experience. Like I cannot stress enough how incredible this is. And even to this day, for some of the thoughts I have on Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts 3 is one of the best looking games to come out in the last 5 to 7 years. It's unchallenged. Speaking of worlds, you do spend most of the time in the Dark Realm, but you do kind of visit 3 slices of worlds which have fallen to darkness, and there are 3 worlds that Aqua has a direct relationship to: Castle of Dreams, Dwarf Woodlands, and the Enchanted Dominion. Those were kind of the 3 of the main worlds in Birth by Sleep. And all these worlds are beautifully reimagined, mixed in with the just crushing despair and nightmarish landscape of the Realm of Darkness. It's hauntingly beautiful. And the stars of the Realm of Darkness are the Heartless. And the Heartless here they're bright and they're colorful against the kind of dark, muted backgrounds, but they're also more sinister looking and they feel like more of a threat. And there are more of them on screen than any previous Kingdom Hearts game because of Unreal Engine 4, because of the updated power of a modern console. They're able to have bigger battles and they're able to be more spectacular. I know that games get a lot of flack for just being like, oh, like these action spectacles are not actually hard, but Kingdom Hearts is a spectacle in all of the best ways. And even if you don't like the series, I would be hard-pressed. You'd be hard-pressed to look at it and be like, damn, and just not be impressed by it, I think. There's a cool detail about Aqua here that I really like when you start off with her. Aqua starts off at level 50, and she sports some pretty powerful combos and magic commands. This is a really nice touch. I'm really glad they didn't put her at like level 5 or level 7 or a lower level. I like that they put her at like level 50 and gave her some pretty good stats, because it's a nice touch, because remember, she's a Keyblade master. She's a very powerful person. I'm glad they didn't depower her from Birth by Sleep. It reinforces how formidable she is. Well, Nomura, and this gives Nomura the opportunity, right, to tease us with more powerful stuff. He didn't want to just show off like little thunder spells or little fire spells or stuff like that. He wanted to show off the big guns, Thundaga, Faraga, Blizzaga, and these spells look so they're fucking powerful and they're devastating. But I think too, this is not a double-edged sword, but I think this serves a secondary purpose because yes, she's powerful, but the Heartless here also hit pretty hard too. So I think it also underscores and reinforces just how vulnerable she is because the enemies here are strong despite the fact that she is a Keyblade master. They take off pretty good chunks of health when they hit you. So, speaking of magic is back with an absolute vengeance. The MP bar, after being exiled for like 4 games, finally makes a return. 4 games. It was gone for 6 years. We didn't have a traditional MP bar in a Kingdom Hearts game for 6 years. Aqua has access to 4 spells, 4 incredibly powerful spells: Faraga, Thundaga, Blizzaga, and Curaga. These feel powerful. Like I'm not joking. Like they feel so powerful. Magic in Kingdom Hearts 2 felt pretty strong. And then I felt like through the last 3 or 4 games I played, magic was there, but it was implemented into the command system. And it felt like magic kind of took a back seat to commands that had like flashy flourishes on your attacks and stuff. This new magic feels more powerful than Kingdom Hearts 2. Thundaga calls down gigantic bolts of lightning that blast and electrify the battlefield. Blizzaga causes a huge ice explosion that can now freeze some enemies. So there are these water-based Heartless, and if you cast Blizzaga on them, they freeze solid. So elements now interact. There's elemental strengths and weaknesses to the Heartless that are clearly telegraphed, and you get rewarded for exploiting those weaknesses. Faraga is just a huge fireball that will set enemies ablaze. It's just it feels great, and it gives us a little peek into like what the magic system is going to be like in Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's incredible that it's back. But here's the kicker. You might think, oh well, if magic is back, if MP is back, we must be getting rid of the command menu or the command decks, right? That whole system must be going away. Not quite. You wouldn't be technically correct in saying that because the command deck has been replaced by this system called situation commands. And this ties into the command styles that were present in Birth by Sleep. Situation commands replace the reaction commands from Kingdom Hearts 2. If you remember those, if you were fighting enemies, you could get a triangle button prompt that would do something. So like for the basic Dusk Nobody, it was a reversal. It would basically scoot you around the back from and confuse them and give you a chance to attack them from behind. They were situational commands that could give you an advantage in battle. And they're kind of a fusion, situation commands are. They're kind of a fusion between the reaction command system and the command style system from Birth by Sleep. Although command styles are tied into this new system. So as you attack, as you use magic to defeat enemies, you build up this meter above your command menu, and it's essentially consists of like 3 arrows that build on top of each other. Once you build that meter up, depending on the types of attacks you used, you'll get a situation command that you can perform by pressing triangle, and this situation command is usually like a finisher or it's a command style change Aqua can change into her Spellweaver command form. So for example, if you weave Faraga into your attack combos, like you're attacking and you're shooting off some fire Faraga spells that hit, when your meter fills up, you'll get a situation command for a powerful magic finisher called Faraja, spelled with a J. And it's basically a Faraga spell on steroids, causing just a gigantic fireball explosion in the area that does devastating damage to anything that's caught in its radius. Fun fact on this is a English localization for a spell called Faragun that is basically known as Fire 4 in earlier Final Fantasy games. This localization gets abandoned in Kingdom Hearts 3, where this gets turned into Faraza, its own kind of thing. As I mentioned too, Aqua's Spellweaver command style from Birth by Sleep is linked to the situation command mechanic. If you use mostly physical attacks to fill up that meter, you'll get the situation command that will become available for Spellweaver, and then once Spellweaver kind of runs its course, you get a finisher command with that as well. We do have the return of flow motion from Dream Drop Distance, but it is much more limited than what it was in Dream Drop Distance. It is extremely more tame. You aren't flying around everywhere using flow motion. It's super situational and limited in use. It's mostly used to do like rail grinds in certain portions of the game and to like progress through the world. This does not mean that Aqua is limited in her moveset. The level design for this relatively short game is pretty expansive. I would say it's at least on par with some of the expansive areas of Dream Drop Distance. And she has all these moves that she can do. She gets an ability called Double Flight, which is a nice little double jump ability that can combo into like a pretty lengthy dash in the air that she can use to reach ledges and platforms. Aqua's cartwheel dodge comes back that gives her a great deal of mobility where she can like cartwheel around the battlefield. Aqua controls very fast in this game, almost to the point where I would say the controls feel just a tad bit slippery. When I'm moving Aqua about the level, I don't feel like she's like walking on ground. I feel like she's kind of like gliding around places. I don't know if that was intentional. This is fixed in Kingdom Hearts 3 because I've been playing a little bit of it, and that feels much more grounded. So I feel like they were still tying down the movement. They tested it with 0.2, and they kind of fine-tuned it in Kingdom Hearts 3. One last thing that returns from Birth by Sleep is shot locks. So works similar in Birth by Sleep. You can hold down R1, lock on a bunch of enemies, and shoot a bunch of projectiles at them. Since this is a continuation of Birth by Sleep, I narratively like this, right? Aqua's powers remain pretty consistent. Since she could do command styles and shot locks in Birth by Sleep, it wouldn't make sense not to include those things for her. So narratively, it makes sense, and gameplay-wise, they found a way to make it work. So if you're following all that, you're like, whoa, it seems like they brought a lot of stuff forward and we're kind of incorporating it, getting ready to put all this stuff in Kingdom Hearts 3. And if you thought that, then, dear listener, you hit the nail on the head. If you look back and listen back on the series of episodes up until this point, you can see that from Kingdom Hearts 1 all the way to Dream Drop Distance, there were always changes and variations in the combat style, in the gameplay, in the way that you attacked, did magic, did commands and stuff like that, whether it was the level panel system in 358, whether it was the command deck in Birth by Sleep, whether it was a combination of those things, flow motion, shot lock, command styles, whatever. Nomura has tested these ideas for like a decade and a half now across all of his Kingdom Hearts games. And he is bringing the best of those ideas that he's had 15 years to fine tune and bringing them all forward. And is going to incorporate the best of all those ideas into what is essentially the swan song for the series for so far, Kingdom Hearts 3, right? And that kind of blows my mind, because how many game series and how many people do you know today? I mean, the only other thing I can think of that's equivalent is like maybe Mario, where they kind of try different things for all the different Mario games, and then some of those ideas like get brought forward into like future Mario games to like make them better. He's done all this stuff for the last 15 years, and he has learned, and he knows what style of game he wants to make, and he just keeps getting better at making these Kingdom Hearts games. And now he's taking everything that he's learned and everything that he's tried to do and everything that he's experimented with and taking the best parts of it and including it in the finale of the story that he's been telling. And when you think about that, again, it's kind of crazy to me that people shit on Nomura as much as he did. Like, I know his stories are kind of crazy, But from a developer standpoint, from a game designer standpoint, from an artist who makes games, how many people in the industry are afforded this opportunity to the trust that Square has in him, this type of game wouldn't fly at any other big developer like this, where he would have the freedom to experiment like this. And all of his games have pretty much been commercial successes. He hasn't really had one that I would say has been a disastrous flop. And the upper management, despite the fact that it's more corporate, trusts him. And you can see this too in the Final Fantasy VII remake and in the current game Rebirth. All the stuff he's done over the last 15 years, he's brought forward into Kingdom Hearts 3, into 7 Remake, into 7 Rebirth. And those last 3 games by Nomura, I know you guys shit on him a lot. Those last 3 games are fucking masterpieces. I know Kingdom Hearts 3 is a little, there's some controversy in the community and stuff, but when everything's said and done, 3 is a very solid product. 7 Remake was critically acclaimed. 7 Rebirth has even more critical acclaim than Remake right now, and I'm having a great time with it. So guess what? Last 3 Nomura games have been some of the best games that have come out in the past 5-7 years. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Speaking of Nomura, let's talk about the development history next. As always, for the development history, as I've done the last several episodes, I have to give a shout out to the book, The Legend of Kingdom Hearts Volume 1 Creation, published by Third Editions and written by Georges J. Gruard. It provided some incredible insight, even into the development of 0.2, into that HD 2.8 collection. It just continues to be a resource and a wealth of knowledge. And the way that Jay was able to sit down and dig up interviews and talk to people from Square Enix and get all this kind of insight and gather it all in one book and give us this detailed look at Square is absolutely incredible. So again, go check out that book. Go check out Third Editions. They have a bunch of different authors that have written about a bunch of different books, and their books are absolutely gorgeous. They look incredible on your shelf. They have one about Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VI. There's a Metal Gear series. There's a Halo series. Some people have done some absolutely incredible work for that publisher writing these books. I've noticed that a couple of those books are a little bit shorter because they just deal with one game, whereas Jay was like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna write about the entire Kingdom Hearts series. So the Final Fantasy VII one's 200-ish pages. Jay's first book is 450. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Go check out that book. I will plug it as many times. You know what? Fuck it. I need to start adding it in the episode description. So I'll add a link to Third Editions, their site, and the Amazon link to where you can get the book too. Check it out. And I guarantee you'll enjoy it if you're a video game history buff, if you love Square or anything like that. So let's talk about development history. For this development history, we're going to go a bit out of order. Technically, the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Chi Unchained X Union Cross is the next game that releases in the series, but that's an ongoing story that covers a length of time before and after Kingdom Hearts 3's release. I felt it was more prudent to tell the story of this shorter game first, as it fills in some story beats that are already established and takes us directly into the start of Kingdom Hearts 3. The mobile game will be split into 3 episodes, one that will come out before the episode on 3, and 2 that will come out afterwards, focusing on the conclusion of the mobile game and an add-on standalone story called Dark Road. Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep: A Fragmentary Passage was included in the Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue alongside the HD remaster of Dream Drop Distance and the animated movie Back Cover X/Chi/Kai, which covers the first half of the events of the mobile game. As stated above in some of my opening thoughts, it's a short chapter that follows Keyblade Master Aqua as she wanders through the realm of darkness. As it turns out, the entire 2.8 collection was actually a result of a decree from new Square Enix CEO Yasuke Matsuda, insisting that every new Square Enix game would have additional content that would be sold. Tetsuya Nomura had been working on Kingdom Hearts 3 for a while, and he quickly began to realize that it became too big for a single game. His timeline for the conclusion of the story would actually turn into 3 games, the first of which we've already covered in Dream Drop Distance, 0.2, and Kingdom Hearts 3. In terms of the actual development of 0.2, there isn't much information that is significant or of note. It was developed to fulfill 2 purposes. One, it served as a tech demo to showcase the new systems and technology that were being used to build Kingdom Hearts 3. It should be noted that around this time, it was announced that Kingdom Hearts 3 was being developed in Unreal Engine 4, a departure from the in-house engines Square had been using like Crystal Tools and the Luminous engine. 2, it was a story that Nomura wanted to tell, but with Kingdom Hearts 3 already being a huge game with a lot to tie up, he decided to include it alongside an HD remaster of Dream Drop Distance and a movie summarizing the events of the mobile game up until that point. The same technology used in 0.2 was also used to craft the cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts X back cover. The resulting game starring Aqua as the protagonist could be completed in under 2 hours and gave longtime Kingdom Hearts fans a taste of what was on the horizon, the long-awaited Kingdom Hearts 3. So with that relatively short development history out of the way, we can begin the story proper. Now, just because the story is 2 hours long doesn't mean that there aren't significant reveals or it doesn't tie into the story in a significant way. Trust me, it does. So let's go through this and then we'll tie up some of the loose ends and see where this puzzle piece fits in to the overall narrative of the Kingdom Hearts series. Our story begins where Birth by Sleep ends. We see a scene of the Keyblade graveyard at the conclusion of the epic clash between the Wayfinder trio of Terra, Aqua, and Ven against Master Xehanort. And as the camera pans over the visage of the heart-shaped moon, which signifies Kingdom Hearts, we see it disappearing. And we see on the horizon a figure in a dark robe like those worn by the organization. And the figure just watches ominously, wielding a wicked-looking Keyblade, one that we've seen before brandished by Master Xehanort, a Keyblade that sports a piercing blue eye at the tip, almost as if the eye is observing the events that took place. Keep this in the back of your mind because it becomes an important note once we start talking about the mobile game. We rejoin Riku, Kairi, Mickey, and Yen Sid at the Mysterious Tower right at the conclusion of Dream Drop Distance. Yen Sid says that they must assemble the Guardians of Light to combat the threat of a reborn Xehanort, and that the time has come to help the Wayfinder trio as Terra, Aqua, and Ven must be saved from their sad fate. As they begin to discuss the whereabouts of the 3 fallen Keyblade wielders, Yen Sid mentions that Aqua is deep in the realm of darkness.
Following their first battle with Xehanort, Ventus's heart refused to awaken, and so Aqua found a safe location to conceal him. But when she set off in search of her other missing friend, Terra, she fell to a place from which there is no return without outside help.
I saw her in the realm of darkness.
A place that is impossible to escape without help. And it's here that Mickey mentions that he encountered her while he was there. When was he there? Well, obviously we know he was there during the events of Kingdom Hearts 1 as Riku and himself seal themselves inside. So this would be the only logical place that this story could fit in the storytelling timeline. From here, we assume that Mickey is going to start telling us the story, and we transition to a weary Aqua wandering in the realm of darkness when she stumbles across the castle from Cinderella's world, surprised to see it in the realm of darkness. Each of her steps seems labored and tired, and as she approaches the castle, she fights off a group of Heartless. After this, we get a peek into Aqua's mental state as she begins to inner monologue to herself.
There's no time in the realm of darkness. I walk on and on without end. In the realm of light, do days or years pass with each step? I know something has started to go wrong. I must hurry.
As she has flashbacks of her friends, she laments taking the time she had with them for granted. As she feels the grief of Cinderella's fallen world weigh heavily on her shoulders, it just makes her feel the grief of literally everything that's happened to her. Aqua presses forward. She repairs the damaged bridge to the castle using some time mechanic linked to the castle's clock, and as she crosses it, she encounters a new enemy for the first time. She's attacked by a towering, writhing column of Shadow Heartless that surrounds a pulsing core of pure darkness. It's alien and terrifying, and it moves almost in a liquid state. She manages to drive off the entity known as the Demon Tower and continues her trek through the realm of darkness. And interrupting my story spiel here, the Demon Tower looks so fucking cool. It's such a cool fucking enemy. It's just a tiny little swirling column tornado of the little Shadow Heartless all like whirling around. And its movements are erratic, and it's just another showcase for the power of Unreal Engine 4, another showcase for how insane Nomura's ideas are when they're able to be built with modern technology. As Aqua enters the castle, she once again yearns for just one more night beneath the stars with her friends before chastising herself for dwelling on the past. Suddenly, a voice calls to Aqua as the familiar form of Terra descends the stairs.
Aqua!
It can't be. What are you doing here? You should be in the realm of light. Oh no. Did you not make it out? Don't tell me. Has the realm of light... Why won't you say anything to me? So what are you? A memory among these shadows? Are you here to try and tell me not to lose heart?
He's nothing more than a projection of her memory, some sick joke played by the Dark Realm to continue to torment her. Aqua continues to walk and now comes across the Dwarf Woodlands, another world familiar to her that had fallen into darkness. She sees the familiar glass coffin that once housed Snow White and approaches it, but it doesn't contain the Disney princess, but rather her friend Ventus, sound asleep. She knows he isn't real, but she speaks to him and reaffirms her promise to be there to wake him up, saying that the memory of him is helping to keep her strong. Suddenly, the magic mirror of the evil queen appears, and as she touches it, a dark reflection of herself reaches through and pulls her into a large open chamber filled with mirrors. In order to escape, she must break each mirror's curse, entering each mirror one by one and fighting a dark reflection of herself that urges her to give up and succumb to the darkness. She is literally facing her inner demons and fears, the magic of the mirror manifesting them into a physical trial and challenge that taunts her and tells her to give up. As she breaks the mirror's curse and escapes, she begins to understand what trials the mirror was showing her.
Never would have thought I'd become my own worst enemy. I've talked to myself a lot since falling into these shadows. But with the Phantom, it's as though all my doubts have gained a voice of their own. She's the weakness in my heart. I know I'm alone here. Have the uncountable hours in the shadows whittled away the courage I never really had? I'm losing this fight. The darkness has found the cracks in my heart. Is this the last apparition before it takes me over?
As Aqua presses on, she passes through another world that she recognizes, the enchanted dominion she visited in Birth by Sleep. Upon arriving, she immediately sees apparitions of Ven and Terra and gives chase, but her path is blocked by thorns and legions of towering Darkside Heartless who are gathering darkness in a gigantic sphere. She defeats them and is exhausted, but finally catches up with Terra and Ven.
Terra! Ven!
Aqua. You're...
Terra! You spoke?
Can you see me?
Of course! I see Ven too!
Ven? He's here?
Terra, what's wrong? Don't you see him?
Where are we?
A world that darkness has consumed. Its enchanted dominion.
Consumed. The worlds fell?
What's gotten into you? How do I know that you're Terra? And not the weakness that's in my heart, playing more tricks. Ven, please say something.
Aqua, listen. I promise this is me, but I'm not myself.
What do you mean?
You're using the name Terra. That means you're seeing me the way that you remember me. But your heart is just painting the picture that it so wants to see. The real me is lost in shadow.
Then you're here, trapped in the realm of darkness.
No. My heart has ties to the dark. That must be why we can talk. But I can't see anything, Aqua. If you say Ven is there, then he's like me. An illusion created by your heart.
I understand. Then you and Ven are safe in the outside world?
I think.
That's good. But how did you find me?
I looked here and heard you in the darkness.
Right, but why does your heart have ties to the darkness now? What did you mean, lost in shadow?
Forget about me. Aqua, Xehanort is trying to locate Ven.
He'll never find him. I hid Ven well. I think the reason he's not talking to me here is because he's still there sleeping.
No, I can't control.
And Terra warns her that Xehanort is trying to locate Ven before doubling over in pain, where his hair turns stark white and eyes begin to glow yellow. He tries to force Ven's location out of Aqua, but Terra's will comes forth and tries to hold him back. Aqua, having been grabbed by a large dark hand, faints and begins to fall into darkness. When she comes to, she discovers that King Mickey was able to locate her because of her Wayfinder. But before they can catch up, the Demon Tower returns to assault them once again. But with Mickey's help, Aqua forces the Maelstrom of Shadows to retreat. Mickey and Aqua take a minute to catch up.
Gosh, I never thought I'd find you in the realm of darkness, that's for sure. So, what happened?
Have you seen Terra or Ven?
No, just you.
I'm sorry. The darkness in this place, it's getting to me.
Oh. But you'll be okay.
Right.
Say, we've been looking for you a long time. How come you're in this place?
First tell me, how long's it been in the realm of light?
About 10 years.
Interesting. After we last spoke, I took Ven somewhere safe, and then I went after Terra. But Terra was about to fall to darkness, so I had one choice. I stayed here in hopes of giving him a chance.
I didn't know.
How about you? What could have brought you here? Has something happened? In the realm of light?
It's the Heartless. They've been attacking worlds and taking their hearts. And worlds with no hearts vanish into darkness. But if we can lock the door between the two realms, light and dark, from both sides, we can protect the other worlds. So you see, I came here to find the key on this side. Turns out, it's not so easy getting into the realm of darkness. The points you can cross have become unstable. It's only when a world gets consumed that an entrance appears in the realm between. So I waited for my chance to sneak in. But hey, when I got here, I felt a warm, familiar light. I followed it to find my way to you.
The charm. So they were helping. Terra and Ven brought you and I back together again.
Yeah,
But the worlds are still in danger. Terra, did he make it back to the realm of light?
we still haven't found him.
I see. Well, wherever he is, he's fighting. He'll beat his darkness. And I know he wants me to fight too.
I think you're right. He'll be just fine.
Yes. But what about Ven? He won't wake up unless I'm there with him. I have to go. I have to find a way back to the realm of light.
Good. Then let's locate that key and go home together.
Does that mean you know an exit?
Well, I was so busy finding a way in that I didn't give a lot of thought to where there'd be a way out. But together, we're sure to find one.
You haven't changed at all.
May our hearts be our guiding key.
There's a phrase no one's used in ages.
Keyblade wielders used to say those words to each other. And now, it's something I like to try and remember. So, ready?
Ready.
Mickey then goes on to tell Aqua that he came here looking for the Dark Realm's Keyblade, so they can seal the door to prevent the Heartless excursion into the Realm of Light, putting this adventure directly in the same time period as Kingdom Hearts 1. This is what Mickey was doing for that entire game, and he was with Aqua. What a revelation. With some strength and resolve and the first glimmer of hope in a long time, Aqua sets out with Mickey to locate the Dark Realm's Keyblade and helps Sora close the door from this side. As they move forward, they emerge on the sunny beach of the Destiny Islands, a world that had just fallen into darkness. As they look around, Mickey guesses that the Keyblade is probably located in the cave that leads to the secret place. But as they approach, the Demon Tower swarms out of the dark recesses, and it's more agitated than it's ever been. Mickey and Aqua do battle with the malevolent force, and as the battle rages, the swarm of shadows grows and evolves from a column of darkness to a swirling, towering tornado of shadows and darkness. The Demon Tower is now a swirling manifestation of the anger of the darkness itself, known as Demon Tide. But working together, Mickey and Aqua force the darkness to retreat once again and enter the secret place, where they find the Dark Realm's Keyblade behind the wooden door that was previously unopenable. There's a bright flash, and suddenly they find an ornate white door that is propped open. The door to Kingdom Hearts from KH1. Mickey states that with Sora on the other side, they can close the door for good, and all they need is Riku's help, who they actually see running in the distance towards the door. Aqua takes a moment and then realizes these are the same kids she met 10 years ago on Destiny Islands. Before they can act, however, the demon tide returns. Aqua, wielding the Keyblade of the fallen Master Ericus, summon chains of light to bind it and hold it at bay while Mickey, Riku, and Sora close the door, which they manage to do so. But they are too late to help Aqua as she is swept away in the onslaught of the demon tide as it breaks free of her chains. Aqua stands on the shores of Destiny Islands to fight the swirling mass of darkness and steels herself to the truth. She wouldn't be escaping the realm of darkness today, but she makes a new promise.
The battle for the realm of light is not won. Thanks to Terra and Mickey, I know what's at stake. I'm not afraid. I will face the long darkness. The next time someone wanders into the realm of darkness, I'll be here. A light to cut through all the shadows. I will be their wayfinder. And one day, I'll return to Terra and Ven. I am Master Aqua, and that's a promise.
We see the scene of Mickey at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 helping to close the door, and then we pan back to Aqua, lying exhausted on the shores of Destiny Islands after defeating her foe. As she looks up at the sky, she sees particles of light begin to fall, and realizes that Mickey and the others did it. They stopped the darkness and restored the worlds. As Destiny Islands begins to be restored, Aqua closes her eyes as the ground beneath her fades away. And she sinks down into the dark depths below with a smile on her face, clutching her wayfinder tight. When she opens her eyes, she's on the shores of the Dark Margin, the same beach where Riku and Sora ended up after their battle with Xemnas. She spots a man in a black coat and begins to approach him. We know from the secret ending of Birth by Sleep that this is in fact Ansem the Wise. And this is the last time that we see Aqua in this story. We transition back to Yensid's tower as Mickey concludes his story, and Riku is shocked to learn that Aqua was there at the conclusion of Kingdom Hearts 1 when he and Sora closed the door. We come to learn that Yensid actually forbade Mickey from telling either of them, insisting that if they had learned the truth, then Sora and Riku would have undoubtedly tried to stage some kind of desperate rescue mission. But now that Riku is a Keyblade Master, he and Mickey decide it's time for them to go help her. Yensid sends Kairi to the wizard Merlin to train with Lee in the art of wielding a Keyblade. Before Riku and Mickey depart, Yensid provides them with new clothing to help protect them from the darkness. We transition to a new scene, and we see the big, familiar yellow shoes of our favorite good boy protagonist as Sora bursts in the door of Yensid's study, only to see that nobody except Yensid is there. Interrupting a classic Sora and Donald fight, Yensid informs them that they need to be ready to confront Xehanort, but the truth is that Sora was left significantly weakened after the events of Dream Drop Distance. It's just how he was after the events of Chain of Memories, and he never mastered the power of waking he needs to be able to help Ven and the others. In order to regain his lost power and master the power of waking, Yensid sends Sora out into the worlds, telling him to let his heart be his guiding key. Later in the gummy ship, Sora is stumped trying to think about where to begin his journey. And after thinking for a moment, he realizes exactly the place he needs to go. He just so happens to know a certain hero who lost his strength only to regain it after he realized what it means to be a true hero. Following his heart, the 3 half-pints set off towards Olympus Coliseum, setting us up, finally, for the start of Kingdom Hearts 3. So to tie this one all up, basically, if you've been listening to the previous parts and keeping up with the story, or you've played it, there shouldn't be too much that is unfamiliar to you or that needs to be connected. This shouldn't really be as a surprise. This is one of the more straightforward puzzle pieces that you can fit into the story. All the major revelations in 0.2 make sense in the grand scheme of the narrative, right? It makes sense that the three worlds that Aqua visits in Birth by Sleep appear in the Dark Realm. They fell during the events of Kingdom Hearts 1. The princesses of those respective worlds even say their worlds fell when Sora rescues them all from Maleficent. So it's thematically, narratively appropriate, and very cool that those are the worlds that are featured. Picking worlds that Aqua is familiar with also causes additional stress and depression on her already battered mental state. Mickey reveals to Aqua that she's been down in the Dark Realm for 10 years. 10 years, a decade. And this lines up with the timeline. We know there's a 10-year gap between Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 1. At the start of Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora is 14 and Riku's 15, I believe. So Sora and Riku being 4 and 5 in Birth by Sleep, that makes sense. And we know that Mickey spends some time in the Dark Realm in Kingdom Hearts 1. In fact, that's the only time we see him in that entire game is at the end when we seal the door alongside Riku. He jumps up and is like, let's seal this for good. I'm not going to do a Mickey voice, but you know, that's when we see him. That's like the big reveal, even though like Mickey's teased throughout that whole game and you know, like, oh, Mickey's the king. Seeing him at the end is like the last little treat of that game. Also, I just want to reiterate that Aqua's been there for 10 fucking years. The Dark Realm is a hostile place that we only hear terrible things about. You are not supposed to go there. If you get there, you can't get out without help. You really also like aren't able to get there. And yet Keyblade Master Aqua survived there for a decade. Keyblade Master Aqua survived there for a decade. One of the most impressive feats in the entire series. This, out of everything else, makes me love Aqua's character the most because it establishes her as this really, really powerful character. And despite the fact that she is struggling, she is still fighting and continuing on. And it's just, I love the way that she is portrayed, that she's continuing to push forward and move on. And even though she's struggling and even though she thinks she's ultimately losing the fight against the darkness, she continues to push on. It really does make Aqua like one of my favorite. I think Aqua's character arc and storyline are one of the better ones in the entire series for sure. I mean, Riku's story arc is probably my favorite. Aqua's would probably be my second favorite because Sora's is like pretty consistent. So yeah, it establishes Aqua. Like, think about the Mark of Mastery exam that they took at the start of Birth by Sleep and the way Aqua was made a master and Terra was not. And Terra lost his body, lost his heart, basically isn't even in play anymore. It shows proof that, you know, despite the fact that maybe Ericus didn't go about training Terra the right way or treating him the right way, it was still the correct decision because out of all of the three of them, and yes, Aqua's in the Dark Realm, but she's survived. She's fighting on still, even though she's in this terrible, terrible place. Again, the biggest reveal is that Aqua was technically present at the events at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. She holds off the horde of Heartless that tried to prevent Mickey and Sora from closing the door. She chooses to willingly stay in the realm of darkness so that Sora, Riku, and Mickey could seal the door and defeat Ansem. Think about that. She's been there for 10 years. She is already weary. She knows she's losing the fight against the darkness. And yet, for the greater good, again, for the second time in her character arc, the first time being when she sacrifices herself to save Terra. Now she sacrifices herself so that the Realm of Light could have a chance and to help Sora, Riku, and Mickey close the door. Absolutely stunning. Again, further proof that Ericus made the right decision. Keyblade Master Aqua. She's worthy of that title, and she earned that title. The end of this game basically gives us the start of Kingdom Hearts 3, and it basically establishes the plot threads that will start that game. Riku and Mickey set off to go save Aqua from the Realm of Darkness. So it's happening. Riku and Mickey are staging a rescue attempt into the Realm of Darkness. Except now, Riku accompanies Mickey as Keyblade Master Riku. And Mickey, of course, also is a Keyblade Master. Kairi goes off to join Axel, who's now Lee, to train in the ways of the Keyblade to have more people to help fight against Master Xehanort. So that's where those two characters are going to be. So that plot thread, they're off with Merlin training. What qualifies fucking Merlin to train Keyblade wielders? I don't know. But Merlin has always used like just some weird magic where he can just do whatever he wants. I don't know. Yensid, whatever. Sora, on the other hand, our poor guy, Sora, he's got some work to do. His encounter at the end of Dream Drop Distance with Xehanort and the True Organization basically strips him of all of his powers and prevents him from mastering the power of waking, to which in the story, he hilariously responds, he's like, oh, this happens all the time, because it really does. He's had to start over from like base power like 3 times now. The first time being after he woke up in Kingdom Hearts 2 after his memories were all taken away in Chain of Memories. The second time being his like dream form in Dream Drop Distance. He basically had to start over with his power, and like now he has to do it again. So it's like, oh, it happens all the time, which is I love that line. I think it's a nice little, and the way Haley Joel Osment delivers it is great. So what does Yensid have Sora do? He's just basically just like, hey, listen, following your heart has gotten us out of like every single problem in the story so far, except for like when the organization captured you and tried to make you a Xehanort. And, you know, that's fine. Like, that's the only instance, and your friends were there to help you, so it all turned out okay. But Jensen's just like, listen, you following your heart has worked out so far. Just go out into the world and follow your heart and rediscover your lost power and find the power of waking. He's like, you know where to look. Like, you know someone who's gone through this before. And it basically leads him, Donald, and Goofy to set out for Olympus Coliseum, which, spoiler, is the first world in Kingdom Hearts 3. That's where Sora's journey really does start in that game. So that's really where all the major pieces lie. Riku and Mickey are going to rescue Aqua. Kairi and Lee are training to be Keyblade wielders. Sora's just sent out into the world to follow his heart and regain his power because that's the only thing that they can use to wake up Ven, except for like, I don't know. No, I was going to say something about like Riku waking up Ven, but it makes sense thematically that Sora would have to be the one to wake him up, right? Because Ven's heart is inside of Sora and he needs the power of waking. So we know where basically like 2 of the 3 Wayfinder Trio members are located, right? So Mickey and Riku are going to get Aqua from the Realm of Darkness. Sora is hoping to find the power to wake up Ven, but they can't find Ven until they rescue Aqua, because only Aqua can find Ven because she's the one that locked the Land of Departure and turned it into Castle Oblivion. You following me with all that shit? So then, yeah. And then Terra, we don't know what's going on with Terra because supposedly his taken over body got turned into the Nobody Xemnas and the Heartless Ansem. But when they died, the old man Xehanort was recompleted. So does that mean like the taken over body of Terra was recompleted too? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see to Kingdom Hearts 3. But before we get to Kingdom Hearts 3, we have to go through like the first half of the mobile game, because the mobile game deals with the very early history of Kingdom Hearts. And guess what? You probably guessed it. The shit that happens in that game actually matters in Kingdom Hearts 3. Yes, the shit that happens in a live service mobile Kingdom Hearts game, gacha style mobile game that ran for like 4 years matters in Kingdom Hearts 3. And we're going to go through the first half of that game because the second half really deals with what happens after Kingdom Hearts 3. And then we'll go through Dark Road. And Dark Road, guess what? Is the story of Xehanort's youth when he was younger, what set him on this path. So that's where we're going. We have one more half of one game, and then we can play Kingdom Hearts 3, which I've been dying to replay again because I've only played it once. So that's where we're going. that's what happened. And I hope you all hung on for that journey, because guess what? We had a little bit of like a calm break, right? Dream Drop Distance was insane. This part was a little more tame, and it was kind of easy and straightforward and simple to grasp, as long as you were following along with some of the story threads that were running through the entire series. And now we get to the mobile game, and shit starts to get crazy again. So it's going to be pretty crazy from here on out. So enjoy this nice little rest stop on the Guiding Keys tour, because I need you to catch your breath, because we're sprinting to the end, and a bunch of these plot threads that get left from Kingdom Hearts 3 and the mobile game and Melody of Memories are the start of Kingdom Hearts 4. So hang on. We're rapidly approaching the conclusion. It only gets harder and more complicated from here. But if you've been able to follow along so far, you'll be okay. You'll be able to handle it. And we'll discover these secrets together and prepare everybody for Kingdom Hearts 4. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Can't wait. Rebirth is out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is out. Now Nomura can focus on Kingdom Hearts 4 and get that game out. I cannot wait. If you're still with me after all that ranting and rambling, thank you again so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I really appreciate you listening to me talk and ramble about this insane game series that I love so much, that means so much to me. It's by and far the most popular, successful thing I've ever done as a content creator. It really means a lot that you guys have responded the way that you have with it and given me such words of encouragement. It really means a lot, and I cannot wait. Let me address this right off the top. I know I said that the end of Guiding Keys was going to be like a break time for the Unlockables, but in the time that my son has been in the NICU at the hospital, I've been writing scripts since I don't have a lot to do except sit up there at the hospital with him. I've been writing scripts. I've been making some posts. I've been working on some stuff. So I am going to keep putting out content. Spoiler alert, I have my first video coming out that I'm really excited to share with you guys. I just got done editing it. I'm super excited to dive into that realm and give that a shot. I want to work on some more short form stuff. I want to script out some more podcast episodes on stuff that's not Kingdom Hearts. So look for announcements about all that stuff in the very near future. I'm excited to share that with you guys. If you want to talk to me and engage with me on social media, join the Discord server. Go to linktr.ee/Unlockables podcast. You can find all that stuff there. You can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff. But with that being said, we're going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to send you out into the world with the customary endings of my episodes, right? It's not just the story of video games, it is the story of you. And remember, as always, great life advice, despite the fact that it's from a crazy video game, may your heart be your guiding key.